The very first lecture series I listened to was Sangharakshita talking about evolution and making parallels between evolution in biology and the progress of the human mind and consciousness using Buddhist practice. And I realized that even in what Sangharakshita called the lower evolution, what you might call biological evolution, mental factors are important. And the example that I came up with from a biologist called Kohn, who lived in around 1900, was of what's called organic selection. And what he said was that let's think of the time of the dinosaurs, when mammals were just little insectivores scuttling around in the leaf litter, trying to keep out the way of the dinosaurs, living by night and eating insects. At some point, these insectivores evolved into primates, which were living up trees. They were living by day and they were eating fruit instead of insects. How did this transition happen? Now, it could be that they just waited for a mutation, but that seems unlikely. And what seems more likely is that their behavior changed before they changed their structure. So they experimented, they innovated, they discovered that you could rather inefficiently scramble up a tree, find some big juicy beetles up there, and even jump from tree to tree when there was enough daylight to do so. And then there would be very strong selection pressures on them to change their form so that they lived by day, they had better binocular vision, they became social animals, they ate fruit instead of insects, and so on. In other words, they devolved into primates. So you can make a comparison between what this little insectivore is doing and what we are doing. And one of those, I think, it seems to me to do with expanding the scope of awareness, is bringing more into your awareness than was there before. And it's very speculative, but the little insectivores running about in the leaf litter at night, they weren't really aware of the trees. The trees were just trunks that got in their way. So it just needed a little spark of curiosity, of extra interest, that made one of them take the risk, overcome the fear of going into this new domain of actually running up a tree trunk and seeing what it found up there. And in the same way, when we are practicing, we are bound by our habits, we're down in the leaf litter, we're in the usual domain of ordinary life, and then a little bit of curiosity comes in, maybe about our own minds. Where does this come from? Do I have to be like this? So I've either been lucky or stubborn or something, in that I've tended to find a really nice situation to live in. So for example, after I became a Buddhist, but before I was ordained, I was working for the Open University in Milton Keynes. I was living in this wonderful alternative, cooperative, communal living situation. There were over 40 of us who occupied a whole street. We had land, we grew our own food, we had bees and chickens. There were children running in and out of each other's houses, all that kind of thing going on there. And the Open University was a very stimulating place to live. But there was no Buddhist centre there. There were pretty much no Buddhists around. And so I stuck it for a few years, but gradually my meditation was getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And I really missed the Sangha. I really needed something else. And although it was such a good situation, I thought I do need to let go of this. And in a sense, let go of the career. So I let go of that career in science and became much more full-time involved in Buddhism. So I think it's really good to be able to feel free to move on, even from a good situation, even when things are good. You know, a good place, a good job, or something like that, where you think, okay, this is good, I've got it, I've got a council flat now. People have a council flat, they don't dare to leave it because they know that they'll never get on the waiting list again. You know, trapped, imagine being trapped, it's terrible. So you've got to take some risks sometimes.